The Association of Tennis Professionals was formed in September 1972 by Donald Dell, Bob Briner, Jack Kramer, and Cliff Drysdale to protect the interests of male professional tennis players. Drysdale became the first president. Since 1990, the association has organized the Worldwide Tennis Tour for men and linked the title of the tour with the organization's name. In 1990, the organization was called the ATP Tour, which was renamed in 2001 as just ATP, and the tour being called ATP Tour. In 2009, the name was changed again and is now known as the ATP World Tour. It is an evolution of the tour competitions previously known as Grand Prix Tennis Tournaments and World Championship Tennis. The ATP's global headquarters are in London, United Kingdom. ATP Americas is based in Pontevedra Beach, United States. ATP Europe is headquartered in Monaco, and ATP International, which covers Africa, Asia and Australasia, is based in Sydney, Australia. The counterpart organization in the women's professional game is the Women's Tennis Association. History started in 1972 by Jack Kramer, Donald Dell, and Cliff Drysdale. It was first managed by Jack Kramer as executive director and Cliff Drysdale as president. Jack Kramer created the Professional Players Rankings system, which started the following year and continues to this day. From 1974 to 1989, the men's circuit was administered by a subcommittee called the Men's International Professional Tennis Council. It was made up of representatives of the International Tennis Federation, the ATP, and tournament directors from around the world. The ATP requested and got the MIPTC to introduce a drug testing rule, making tennis the first professional sport to institute a drug testing program. 1973 Wimbledon boycott. In May 1973, Nikola Pilic, Yugoslavia's #1 tennis player, was suspended by his National Lawn Tennis Association, who claimed he had refused to play in a Davis Cup tie for his country earlier that month. The initial suspension of 9 months, supported by the International Lawn Tennis Federation, was later reduced by the ILTF to 1 month, which meant that Pilic would not be allowed to play at Wimbledon. In response, the ATP threatened a boycott, stating that if Pilic was not allowed to compete, none should. After last-ditch attempts at a compromise failed, the ATP voted in favor of a boycott, and as a result 81 of the top players, including reigning champion Stan Smith and 13 of the 16 men's seeds, did not compete at the 1973 Wimbledon Championships. 3 ATP players, Elina Stays, Roger Taylor and Ray Caldy, defied the boycott and were fined by the ATP's disciplinary committee, ATP Tour. But the tour was still run by the tournament directors and the ITF. The lack of player representation and influence within the MIPTC, as well as dissatisfaction with the way the sport was managed and marketed, culminated in a player mutiny in 1988 that changed the entire structure of the tour. CEO Hamilton Jordan is credited with the parking lot press conference on the 30th of August 1988, during which the ATP announced the withdrawal from the MIPTC and the creation of their own ATP Tour from 1990 onwards. This reorganization also ended a lawsuit with Volvo and Donald Dell. On the 19th of January 1989, the ATP published the tour calendar for the inaugural 1990 season. By 1991, the men had the first television package to broadcast 19 tournaments to the world. Coming online with the first website in 1995 was quickly followed by a multi-year agreement with Mercedes-Benz. Lawsuits in 2008 around virtually the same issues resulted in a restructured tour. ATP World Tour. The ATP World Tour comprises ATP World Tour Masters 1000, ATP World Tour 500 Series, ATP World Tour 250 Series and ATP Challenger Tour. The ATP Tour also oversees the ATP Champions Tour for seniors. Grand Slams do not fall under the auspices of the ATP. In these events, however, ranking points are awarded. Players and doubles teams with most ranking points play in the season-ending ATP World Tour Finals, which, from 2000 to 2008, was run jointly with the International Tennis Federation. The week-long introductory level futures tournaments are ITF events and they count towards ATP entry ranking. The 4-week ITF satellite tournaments were discontinued in 2007. Grand Slam tournaments are overseen by the ITF and they count towards the Players' ATP rankings. The details of the Professional Tennis Tour are 2009 changes. In 2009, ATP introduced a new tour structure called ATP World Tour, consisting of ATP World Tour Masters 1000, ATP World Tour 500, and ATP World Tour 250 tier tournaments. Broadly speaking, the Tennis Masters Series tournaments became the new Masters 1000 level and ATP International Series Gold and ATP International Series events became ATP 500 level and 250 level events respectively. The Masters 1000 tournaments are Indian Wells, Miami, Monte Carlo, Rome, Madrid, Toronto, Montreal, Cincinnati, Shanghai and Paris. The end-of-year event, the World Tour Finals, moved from Shanghai to London. Hamburg has been displaced by the new clay court event at Madrid, which is a new combined men's and women's tournament. From 2011, Rome and Cincinnati will also be combined tournaments. Severe sanctions will be placed on top players skipping the Masters 1000 series events, unless medical proof is presented. Plans to eliminate Monte Carlo and Hamburg as Masters series events led to controversy and protests from players as well as organizers. Hamburg and Monte Carlo filed lawsuits against the ATP, and as a concession it was decided that Monte Carlo remains a Masters 1000 level event, with more prize money and 1000 ranking points, but it would no longer be a compulsory tournament for top-ranked players. Monte Carlo later dropped its suit. Hamburg was reserved to become a 500 level event in the summer. Hamburg did not accept this concession, but later lost its suit. The 500 level includes tournaments at Rotterdam, Dubai, Rio, Acapulco, Barcelona, Hamburg, Washington, Beijing, Tokyo, Basel and Vienna. The ATP and ITF have declared that Davis Cup World Group and World Group playoffs award a total of up to 500 points. Players accumulate points over the 4 rounds and the playoffs, and these are counted as one of a player's 4 best results from the 500 level events. An additional 125 points are given to a player who wins all 8 live rubbers and wins the Davis Cup. Additionally, the domain name of the ATP website was changed to www.atpworldtour.com. Rankings. ATP publishes weekly rankings of professional players. Emirates ATP Rankings, a 52-week rolling ranking, and the Emirates ATP Rankings Race to London, a year-to-date ranking. The ATP Rankings is used for determining qualification for entry and seeding in all tournaments for both singles and doubles. Within the ATP Rankings period consisting of the past 52 weeks, points are accumulated accumulated, with the exception of those for the ATP World Tour finals, whose points are dropped following the last ATP event of the year. The player with the most points by season's end is the world number one of the year. The ATP rankings race to London is a calendar year indicator of what the Emirates ATP rankings will be on the Monday after the end of the regular season. Players finishing in the top 8 of the Emirates ATP rankings following the Paris Masters will qualify for the ATP World Tour finals. At the start of the 2009 season, all accumulated ranking points have been doubled to bring them in line with the new tournament ranking system. Current rankings organizational structure. Chris Kermode is the current executive chairman and president of ATP, succeeding Brad Druitt, who died of an illness on 3 May 2013. Mark Young is the CEO of Americas. Laurent Delaney is the CEO of Europe, while Alison Lee leads the international group. The 7-member ATP Board of Directors includes the executive chairman and AMP president along with 3 tournament representatives, Gavin Forbes, Mark Webster and Charles Smith. It also includes 3 player representatives with 2-year terms, Giorgio Di Palermo as the European representative, David Egg as the international representative and Justin Gimelstob as the Americas representative. The player representatives are elected by the ATP Player Council. The 12-member ATP Player Council delivers advisory decisions to the Board of Directors, which has the power to accept or reject the Council's suggestions. The Council consists of 4 players who are ranked within the top 50 in singles, 2 players who are ranked between 51 and 100 in singles, 2 top 100 players in doubles, 2 at-large members, 1 alumni member and 1 coach. The ATP Tournament Council consists of a total of 13 members, of which 5 are representatives from the European region along with 4 representatives from both the Americas and the international group of tournaments.